What's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here with...
Cruellica Kane. I think you shall know me by now because I'm awesome.
But not really.
Oh, thanks!
And we are going to be talking about Zenkaiger Episode 4, which has vroom in it.
Vroom, vroom, vroom. It's all I think of is like a motorcycle revving up. What? Vroom, vroom? Vroom?
Recycle that joke right now. So we start with Vroom asking the professor, hey, did you know that the worlds are getting liberated by when we have the gears? The monsters are getting destroyed? He's like, oh, they are? Who have you told? No one? Okay, I just need to kill you then.
I kind of thought that was like a Burnsian moment. Like, Mr. Burns would be so that. Like, excellent.
And we have him falling down with the grunts.
Well, I actually thought that was funny because he's getting chased by the grunts and then he grabs the grunts to stop himself from falling. I'm like, this is the worst trust fall exercise ever. And then the next thing is you see everyone kind of having like this thought bubble above them with a boxing bell. And then they get boxing gloves. I think my favorite one was actually the otaku who was like meeting his like female idol, and then she gets the boxing gloves and punches him. It's like, that's a perfect example of never.
Oh, the lady that
was
signing autographs.
Yes,
or whatever.
It's kind of the perfect example of never meet your hero because you never know when they're going to get brainwashed by a monster and beat you.
The wedding one was kind of funny.
The wedding one, I kind of expected.
The only thing I'm trying to figure out is why was it only selecting certain people to be boxers? Why was it not like infecting everyone?
I kind of think it was probably the frame of mind. Like, if we were in that world, I would probably have gotten the boxing gloves because it's probably that sort of like type A personality. Think of it, oh God, what were we watching? Doctor Who. When we were watching that one Doctor Who episode where certain people got brainwashed because they have like a specific blood type or anything like that, where only half the world was getting taken over.
What Doctor Who?
This was during Tennant's era.
Okay, so newer Doctor Who, not older.
I'm not trying to make you think for too long.
Was it the one with the Master where he was...
Yes.
Turning everyone into masters, into the master race?
Yes, but only certain people got taken over. So I kind of think it was almost like that blood type thing.
I will say, I don't know if I liked it or hated it, the scene when the Zenkaigers were about to transform and Vroom and the guards
I loved it.
Run right past. It was kind of funny, but it also kind of killed the whole mood.
But that's what I loved about it, is because... So, the Zenkaigers find the boxing monster, and they're about to fight, and it was just, I understand where you're coming from, where it takes you out of the moment, but I loved it because you have Vroom, like, running past, like, help, and it's kind of like a Scooby-Doo moment, where you have, like, this serious thing going on, and Scooby and Shaggy run past.
I think the problem I have with it is that pretty much shows Toei in a nutshell, though, is that it's the same problem that you have with Rio Soldier, where you'd have all this serious stuff going on, but then they can't be serious for more than a minute because then they have to break it with some slapstick comedy routine that completely diminishes the whole mood.
While I normally will agree with you because that was a problem for Ryu Soldier and so many others, because that was a problem for Q Ranger. Mm-hmm. And so I understand, but for this, because they already set the tone that the show was going to be silly, I don't think it should quantify the same thing as Ryu Soldier. Because Ryu Soldier was supposed to be serious. It took on from the moment that started that we are going to be more serious, we are going to be more hero-like, and then you'd have all the slapstick with the one girl character that just did not work.
No.
Here, we already know what we're getting. So I think you kind of have to take it away from that pedestal. It's probably the same reason why Car Ranger did as well as Car Ranger did. Because you knew it was supposed to be silly. And when it did have those serious moments, you're like, this is even more awesome than before. Which I'm kind of hoping is what's going to happen here. Is when you do get those serious moments, which it looks like we will not have in the next episode.
Yeah, the next episode.
But I kind of feel like we could potentially get it. So I'm not going to take fault with that. I feel it matched the tone of what they were going for.
One improvement is, I will say, that they didn't use as much of a green screen background as I figured.
No, they didn't. They were in a library. They were in the restaurant. They were in a church. I was actually in the library scene.
The only scene, so I will say also though, it did make that one scene though when they were in the green screen with all the background explosion effects where they're fighting the grunts, and then they just go back into a real city. It really was kind of jarring.
It was jarring, but it kind of made sense. But I will say my favorite scene of the episode was really when they were in the library, because one, both of us worked in a library for a number of years, so we have a personal love for libraries, or at least I do. 5 years too. But still, watching them in the library trying to act quiet, and then Vroom sees all these books, and it kind of was like the inner nerd in me, because I love to read, and I cherish that so much. So seeing a character in a Toku series have that like bibliophile love, it was so awesome, especially the element of curiosity. I actually think I'm gonna like him because of the curiosity and the sweet nature of him, because it's almost a breath of fresh air in a way that he's kind of innocent, and the only reason he went with the villains is because he was curious about what they did. I was like, I could see me doing that, going to the villains just to know what they're doing, because if they're not going to share their plan, I might as well find out for myself.
I don't know. Right now, Vroom is probably my least favorite.
I'm not saying he is my favorite.
I know, but I'm saying right now he's my least favorite because I don't know, he's everything in the characters I do not care for.
Well, and it's kind of funny because I can guarantee that he will be Silverquill's favorite.
Oh, probably.
One, he's blue. If you don't know this about Silverquill, obviously, then you don't watch his channel, but he loves blue.
Even though his name is Silver.
I know, it makes sense. And then, he likes any characters that are exactly like how Vroom is. So, I have a feeling that's going to be his favorite character. I
did like when Majine used her magic to have, like, all the boxers, like, being, like, timeout.
Oh, yeah, doing the massaging and everything. Well, she used so much more magic this episode.
The mechs were kind of weird. It's kind of weird just seeing them be like symmetrical.
I will admit though, for when Vroom changed into his
dump truck,
that kind of opens up to be like a mouth as well. I actually thought that was kind of cool. I did like when Majine and Vroom combined, because I actually thought the color matching worked so well for that one. Because it wasn't jarring. It actually, the pink and the blue worked so well together. And I actually liked because you see Zenkaiger over above them when they're transforming, like, come on, combine type of thing. But I did like, for the toy sale gimmick, if you think about it, the fact that they are symmetrical will make it easier for kids when they buy them, because they can.
It does, but I have to say, but if you have looked at the, well, I'm sure you haven't looked at the toys, but no. Oh my God, their animal forms look horrible.
Well, they look horrible on television.
They look even worse in toy form, especially Juron's T-Rex mode.
Well, have you noticed? And I'm curious. I really am curious because I'm wondering what kind of feedback they've gotten on Juron and Gowon. Because when they transform to mech, they just automatically transform to the main mech. They don't do anything else. And I'm like, I wonder if they're noticing that Gowon and Juron's mech forms just look terrible, especially compared to Majine's. Majine's is still my favorite, turning into an actual dragon. How is that not cool? But I think aside from that, we didn't really have too much villain action outside of the professor. So we didn't have Iago, Jafar.
That's the T-Rex.
What's the other red? That just color matching doesn't work. That's like 80s Transformers level of bad. Because the colors don't even look the same as what they're supposed to be in the show. Okay.
But yeah, like...
Moving on, I'm happy that we're where we're at for the 4th episode. That we've had a chance to have each of the new Rangers introduce themselves and get a feel for what they're going to be like. And I still don't hate the show. I still enjoy it.
I don't hate the show.
Okay.
I don't hate the show. I didn't like this episode as much as last week's episode.
Well, Majine's introduction was by far the best.
Even though it has the worst effects in the history of Sentai. Oh my god, this show though is going to not age well. In 10 years, we're going to be looking at this show like, oh my god, what the hell happened? How is this from 2021? This looks like something that you find out of the 50s.
Well, they didn't have these types of effects.
Obviously they didn't, but the point remains.
I would say 90s, early 2000s.
But no, even those ones, the Sentai look way better than...
Well, so I think right now what I want, now that we've gotten all 5 Rangers, I want to have a little bit more story.
Yes.
And it sounds like the way this episode ended...
Hopefully we'll get that.
We will get that. I'm hoping as well that being that the professor is so involved in everything, I'm hoping that he actually becomes more useful.
That he's going to actually be a character and not just a piece of...
Yes, a piece of metal. He's just not going to be a crux.
He's not going to be the wallpaper?
Well, we already have wallpaper. Iago sits in them.
Who didn't even appear in this episode at all.
I was very happy for that because I didn't want to be a rinse and repeat episode where you have the main boss hit his fist on the ground, they fly up, they hit the ground, and then we start over again.
And then Iago yells at them.
Well, exactly. Well, I don't mind Iago, and once again, if you're just tuning in, I don't care what the bird's name is, he's Iago. And as I've said for every other episode, if this comes to America, I want Gilbert Gottfried to voice it.
Okay.
There.
My favorite scene of the episode, though, is obviously...
Tell the people!
The Die Ranger moment.
I was gonna say, tell them!
The Die Ranger moment is...
No, I kind of felt like when I saw number 17, I'm like... Who's 17? Who's 17? And I'm watching your brain click, and I'm like, he knows who 17 is. And then when it says Die Ranger, and I see all...
Die Ranger!
And I see all the staffs, I'm like, all I want is Drunken Master.
Spears.
Whatever.
They're Spears.
Okay, Spears. When I saw all the Spears, all I wanted was Yellow's Drunken Master.
But I like how he did the... Die goes, boom, boom, psh. for in the crotch area.
Oh my god!
I was like, yes! It's been years since we had a ranger hit a monster in the crotch.
I don't know if that's something to be proud of, my love. But it was quite entertaining to watch.
And we didn't have the bird interrupt the fight to say what team it was. Again, they just did the voiceover as they were.
And that was hilarious because all the other ones were used to having a voice in their head. And Blue is like, who is that? What is it? Wanting to know what's going on. They're like, it's fine, we'll tell you after. And he's like, but no, I need to know now why I have a voice in my head. So, and they did make a bunch of cracks about being a janitor. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, but they cleaned everything up pretty well.
He used the same comment in the episode. But overall, and it was also nice to see in the beginning of the episode that Yachan's home is an actual place of business because we never saw customers before. So it's kind of like when we were watching Rube, I always wondered how they were solvent. So it's nice to know that she actually has customers.
Now I'm wondering if Galan's going to do any of his recipes for the customers. Like that thing they had last week.
Well, I do want to have that sundae. The rainbow sundae that the old Mr. Sue was going to order at the beginning of the episode. He never got his sundae. I felt like he was gypped. This man is like in his 50s. He deserves a sundae.
50s? He looked more like 70s to me.
Okay, fine. He was in his 70s. He damn well deserves his sundae.
Because if he was 50s, then there's some problems there.
Okay, yes. But fine. He was a gentleman of a certain age, and he deserved his sundae. And Mr. Sue did not get it, even though he was the wiener.
He didn't get his sundae on Sunday.
Yeah, so I felt bad for him there. But then again, the bride, she never got her day. She knocked out her future husband. I hope they said I do before the fisticuffs started. And then you had the nun who was boxing, and then the doctor. Like, okay. The nun with the boxing gloves was hilarious because I've seen some funny nun stuff, so.
We'll have none of that.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to episode 5 only because I want to see how they're going to try to make a sushi roll thing happen. Please don't ask in the comments what I mean because I have absolutely no idea. It just looked like Deuteron and Kaito were wrapped in sushi paper. That's all I know. And they have a party.
I wonder if this means we're going to have Shinkinger as the episode monster.
Oh!
Because of the episode when because Genta being a sushi chef.
Oh, that means... Now, I guess that's a question. Obviously, you may have heard rumblings, but is there a Sixth Ranger?
Oh, that guaranteed.
Oh,
well, I think the Sixth Ranger is rumored to be named Zenkaiger 2.
Is he a sequel? Are we going to have Ichigo and Nigo type thing for a Kamen Rider?
Someone's going to have to be there to pilot the second combined form of the mechs.
Well, okay, actually, do you really think somebody needs to be there? Because they were capable.
Well, yeah, that's the confusing thing is that they were fighting without any pilot, or they looked like they were fighting without a pilot, but Zenkaiger was then in that one, and that...
So, I'm thinking he only has to be in one of them, and the other two can fight without a pilot.
I don't know. I'm confused on that aspect.
I was a little confused on that, but I'm like, maybe they can. Maybe he just is there because they have a space for him. I
don't know. But yeah, I was confused on that because I'm like, wait, but they're fighting now without... but he's in there. And then he switched to the other one. It's like, what?
And I liked how there were two mechs. Because you had the main villain mech for boxing... And then you had Mr. Corner, who was more of a wrestling thing. So I think for wrestling fans, you can get the idea of how the ring style changed because having a tag team only works in wrestling, not boxing. But yes, as boxing said, you cannot bring a sword to a fist fight.
Well, why not?
Because it's against the rules of boxing.
Well, that's stupid. Boxing is stupid.
George Foreman would probably say something completely opposite because he made a very wealthy career out of boxing until he did grills.
So what you're going to say is he would grill me on this? Hey, at least he's not going to bite my ear off.
No, that's Tyson.
Biteson?
But on that note...
I don't really have much else to really add about this episode. It's like, we watched it, stuff happened, but I didn't feel like there was really a lot happened, that there was really much to talk about.
We just had an entire conversation, so obviously there was.
No, I mean, never mind. Plot-wise, not much happened.
No, not...
We talked about little things here or there, but there wasn't anything big plot-wise.
I think the only really big thing for plot was the fact that Vroom told the professor that the worlds are being released when the monster's defeated.
And then at the end, like, oh, those names of your parents sound familiar.
And they hung out with the professor. So I think those are the only two plot elements. But then again, we're only episode 4. I didn't expect to have the long-term plot for the show announced at this time.
No, but we'll have to see how things go now that they have the whole team.
Now, is it something, I know after episode 2 with the Twitter storm, you were
triggered,
not going to continue.
I didn't say that.
Or, well, that's how people took it, that you absolutely hated the show, it was the worst thing since sliced bread, and that you'd never continue. But now, are you going to continue the show?
Well, we were going to continue anyway.
Well, I know I chose for us to continue, but you control the camcorder, so you obviously could shut this down at any point in time.
I don't hate it enough to want to quit right now. I'm not like, oh my god, this thing is horrible, I want to turn this off.
Do you still think it's as bad as Goanger and...
Well, I don't think... It's hard to say. I don't think... Okay, no, I don't think it's worse, as bad as Goanger anymore at this point. I still... I guess compared to Q Ranger, I have actually a little bit of optimism. But I think also I've kind of reset my expectations of it because it's not going to be...
It's not going to be like Kira Major.
It's not. Yeah, it's not going to be Kira Major. It's not going to be Zenkaiger good. But so I've kind of also reset my hopes for it and kind of lowered my expectations even lower than they already were, I guess is the best way to put it. But I don't hate it enough to where every second I am like, just get this damn thing over with. Like I did feel with episode 2. I don't know what it was about episode 2. Maybe it was just the time when we watched it.
Well, you should say that on Twitter so everybody can get their panties out of a twist.
Nobody cares anymore. Anyway, no one's going to care if I said that because then there wouldn't be anything negative for them to hate on.
Okay.
They only care about the negativity.
Well, with that said, I personally enjoyed the episode. I'm happy we have a full team. And I'm curious to see how they're going to continue it. Because right now, Kaito is still proving he can carry the show at this moment in time. Obviously, it's also based on the writing. So as long as the writing keeps up and he has the skill to be able to carry it along with good and bad writing, then I'm hopeful. But right now, I'm enjoying it.
I've got nothing to add.
I was going to say, are you going to be like one of those tipping birds that tips its beak in the water? This is what you signed up for, people, when you wanted to watch him on YouTube. Okay, enough. No! So with that said, everyone,
until
bye.
next time, bye.